Holy moly, what's going on, guys? It's been quite a while since I made a video for the old YouTube channel here. I think it's been maybe 6 months or so since my last upload, so I'll have to apologize for that. I don't really have a good excuse, I guess, other than just being lazy and slacking off big time in the YouTube department. So anyway, it's Father's Day today, so happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. I'm kind of using Father's Day as an excuse to get out here in the garage with a little bit of alone time to make you guys a quick update video. So if you watched my last video, I talked about swapping out the wastegate spring set in the car to something that was just a little bit heavier. And my goal there was to try to alleviate some of the boost tapering that I was getting at higher boost levels. So for example, at 27 or 28 pounds target boost, it would taper down to 24 or 25 psi by 7,500 RPM, which that's not terrible by any means, but I wanted to try and get boost more consistent all the way to redline. And so my thought process going into that was, well, maybe with that lighter spring set, which was I think a 10 or 11 pound spring set, I thought maybe exhaust drive pressure is having more of an effect on the wastegate spring itself at high RPM and causing it to kind of open prematurely. So that's one thing you have to consider, when you're controlling boost, is not just the amount of boost you're putting to the wastegate, but the amount of drive pressure that's actually acting on the diaphragm as well. And usually drive pressure will increase with RPM. So that was kind of my thought process going into swapping out the wastegate spring set and trying to get it to hold boost a little bit better. So anyway, I ended up doing that. I installed, I think it's a 14 or a 15 pound wastegate spring set in there now. And I actually put the car back on the dyno last November. So my hope was, if I can maintain boost a little bit better all the way to redline, it should pick up some power in the process. I wasn't expecting a drastic change, but I was hoping that it would pick up at least a little bit. So of course I got some pretty good dyno footage from that dyno session, and it's actually footage that I haven't uploaded to the channel or anything yet. So I'm going to just show a few of the runs to you guys now, and then maybe we'll come back and just talk about it a little bit. So you can probably tell from that dyno footage that the heavier wastegate spring set really didn't do much. It didn't help much as far as, the boost tapering goes. I was still seeing a 2 or 3 psi drop by 7,000 or 7,500 RPM on the dyno. And so I was a little bit discouraged by that because obviously the car didn't make a bunch more power. And maybe that's part of the reason I haven't even shown that dyno footage until now. So I guess my theory as far as the exhaust drive pressure goes maybe isn't really the case. Because usually if you install a heavier wastegate spring, the drive pressure has less of an effect on that spring itself. And where the boost tapering was pretty much the same, that makes me believe that, drive pressure might not be the issue here. So the only other thing that really makes sense to me as to why the boost tapers a little bit and as to why the car's, kind of peaked on power is I might just be, basically at the limits of what this turbocharger can support. So this is just a EFR 9180. It's, of course, the largest EFR series turbo that is offered from Borg Warner, and they rate it at 1,000 HP, but the inducer side of the compressor wheel is only 67 millimeters. So in the grand scheme of things, especially in the 2JZ world, a 67 millimeter inducer is nothing crazy and actually probably pretty conservative. So anyway, Borg Warner actually has a pretty cool tool on their website called the MatchBot. And basically what the MatchBot allows you to do is supply a bunch of different inputs. So anything from engine displacement to altitude, boost pressure, engine RPM, air temperature, all of these variables you essentially put into a program, and it will show you basically where you're reading on a specific compressor map. So obviously the EFR 9180 compressor map is on there. So by inputting as much accurate data as possible, I was able to see that I am in fact already running off of the compressor map and, running way out of the compressor wheel's efficiency range already, assuming that the MatchBot is correct, which I don't know why it wouldn't be. Obviously it's not perfect, but, I can see pretty much without a doubt that I'm pushing this compressor wheel already further than it was designed to be pushed. And so, the ultimate verification of that would be to utilize the speed sensor port in this turbo and install an aftermarket turbocharger speed sensor, and that would help me verify, exactly where I'm reading on the compressor map. But the MatchBot is that's proof enough to me that I think I'm already pushing this turbo, basically to its limits. And, there are ways to push it harder and, make more boost and stuff. But at that point, you're operating the turbo outside the range of what it was designed to be operated. And by doing that, just like anything else, you risk damaging it. So anyway, that's kind of what I think is going on. But there's a lot of other stuff to consider. Something as stupid as this little air filter might be a restriction and I just don't know it. I've never tried to run without it, or the intercooler piping size, or the intercooler itself, the camshafts, the cylinder head. There's so many things that factor in when you're talking about flowing air through an engine and ultimately its horsepower output. But the good news is, the fuel system's got some headroom left. The ignition system's got some headroom. So everything should be there and should be ready for if and when I do upgrade the turbo down the road. But anyway, I'm perfectly happy with, where the car sits right now. And I only drive it maybe once every 4 or 6 weeks. So every time I get in the driver's seat, I'm kind of reminded how ridiculous even just 550 wheel horsepower is in a little street car like this. And also there are some other things that I would like to do to the car before I make more power. One of them being the brake system on the car. The factory brake system is just not sufficient for slowing down from like a $150. So that'll probably be the next thing that I address with the car. Anyway, I think that's going to do it for this one. Just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update on the car since it's been so long. And again, I apologize for that. I will definitely try to be more consistent here moving forward with content on the YouTube channel. I know this one's been kind of a lot of me yapping my mouth off, but if you guys have any input or comments or questions, please don't hesitate to comment below. If you like what you see, don't forget to subscribe. And of course, thanks to all the current subscribers and the guys that keep coming back. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate the support. So anyway, we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks, guys.